Hey guys, hope you're doing fantastic, man. We just want to share something with you to hopefully be an encouragement for someone. But what do you do when God is silent? I know a lot of times people will tell you that God isn't silent, and He is always speaking, and truly He is always speaking, but He may not be speaking about a particular issue in our life. Sometimes we go through difficult times, trials, and tribulations, and we want an answer about what's happening in our life, and we don't get an answer at that moment. I heard a lady not too long ago, just here in the last few days or weeks, whatever it was, a couple of weeks, but she said she'd been in church for about 25 years, and she had a very difficult time. She was trying to hear from God about that situation, and God was silent. People told her to just keep leaning into God, keep praying, whatever else, and He would speak. And she said He never did speak. And that's what actually caused her to turn from Him. And now she basically preaches against, Christianity and God. And you can see where Satan has now twisted everything that she learned. He has totally twisted it all. And I wanted to share with you this thought, because sometimes, when you look at the children of Israel, when they went into the wilderness, in this specific circumstance, God said, I led you into the wilderness that I might test you, humble your heart, to see if you would follow my commands. And sometimes we're brought into the wilderness so that God can humble us, to test our heart. And when I say test our heart, God isn't trying to tempt us into, or lead us into temptation to bring about evil. But because Christ is in us, He will allow us to go into the wilderness so we can see those things that are in our heart that would lead us into evil. So you go into the situation and you need to hear from God, and now all of a sudden, because you're not hearing from God, you begin to decide that you might make a decision that you know is unrighteous, that you know is not Him. And that tells you that this thing is rising up on the inside of you. And it's intended to now, because you see it, cause you to cry out for righteousness, because those who hunger and thirst for righteousness will be filled. And you're in this wilderness. You're in this place where maybe you're thirsty, you're hungry, you need something from God. So He's allowed this moment to bring out something, to say, what you need to do is to hunger and thirst for righteousness right now, because this issue in your heart would draw you away from me. So God may be silent on the issue because He's seeing if we will continue to follow His commands, that will you still walk in what you know? Will you still continue to follow Jesus? Even though you're broken, you're wounded, you're in the midst of something that is the most challenging time of your life, and you want to hear from God to know what to do, and you're not hearing it, but you know what the commands are. And just because He isn't giving you a specific path about this situation doesn't mean you don't know the path of righteousness. You know how you should walk. You know how you should behave. You know that you can't just start acting any type of way, right? So God will be silent sometimes, not because He is trying to harm us, but because there's something in us that will harm us. And He's bringing about, through His infinite wisdom, He allows a situation to arise that He had the power to stop, just so He can get you to see what's in you, so that you can begin to seek Him to have that removed. Now, there's a second part. In a different situation, when you're in the wilderness, in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, He says, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness, that I might speak gently, tenderly to her. And He says, the valley of trouble will become an opportunity, a door for hope. So there's two different ways that the wilderness works. One is silence. It's a place where God wants us to find our identity in him, that we hunger and thirst for him, and we begin to see the areas that we are craving and desiring, lusts of our own heart, desires of our own flesh. Then there's the other one, where he lures us into the wilderness, that he can speak tenderly to us, where trouble is actually a door of hope. And we have to discern which one are we in. But will God be silent sometimes? On a particular issue, he will. Not because he's trying to harm us, not because he isn't a good father, but because it's supposed to bring about the desire in us to only live a life of righteousness. If you've been in the wilderness, if you've been in a trial, and it started to tempt you to leave God, then that shows you there's something in your heart that does not belong to him. Or let me say, somewhere in your heart, you have not given yourself to him, and he's asking you to lay that down. Anyway, man, I hope this blesses someone. I hope it encourages someone. Times in the life of Christ can be very difficult. And when people just give you, I don't know, I can't think of the right word for it, but, you know, just same old advice, you know, just keep praying or whatever else. And you keep praying and you still don't get anything, that can be so hurtful, man. It hurts. It can create a deep grief within you, because you can feel rejected by God. But if you understand that in this moment, what God needs me to do is to just keep seeking him. I don't understand. I don't know why it's like this, but I'm going to stand in righteousness. I'm going to stand in the evil day of danger. I'm going to put on the whole armor of God, and I'm going to be found right here with God at the end of this situation. I'm not going anywhere. Then you're going to find that God, through his wisdom, was doing something you didn't understand, because he was bringing you into a place that you didn't even know existed. A place in him, a place in your righteousness, a place in faith that's going to change your life. Be blessed, man.